Let's talk about file handling in Python. Python provides consistent API for working with files. It's very easy to use. The main function is the open function, which allows us to open any file for reading, writing, or appending any kind of data. We will also see what file modes are available for working with files. Python also provides a with block, which makes it really easy to work with files. Let's explore this file handling in code. In order to work with files, we first have to open a file, and at the end, we also have to close that file. In between opening and closing a file, we have access to file handle with which we can work on file. Let's see these operations in code. So first, to open a file, we can use the built-in function open. It takes the file name that we want to open. Let's open sample.txt file. This will return a file handle. Let's assign it to a variable. This file handle can also allow us to work with this file. We can write f.readlines, and that will read all the lines in this file. At the end, we can close the file using f.close. Let's execute this cell, and it throws file not found error. There is no such file or directory sample.txt. This is quite common with file handling. If the file that you want to open does not exist, then it will throw file not found error. Let's take a look at the project directory. This is the directory, and my code is looking for sample.txt file in this directory. But there is no file with that name. If I go inside this data directory, I have this test.txt file. And if I open that file, it has two lines. This is sample text and this is new line. Let's try to read this file instead. So let me go back to my code. And now let's open that file. So here I'm writing f equals open, and here I can specify the file name. So here I can write data / test.txt. Let me execute this, and it has opened my file. Now to verify if my file has been opened, I can use the closed attribute. If I check f.closed, this will verify whether the file has been closed already. Our file is open, so it returns false. Now if I call f.close, then it will close the file, and again if I check the closed attribute, then it returns true. Let's open the file again. Open data test.txt file. Now if I want to read the content of this file, then I can use f.read method. Now this read method can take an argument which is a number, and it will read that many bytes from the file. If I pass 5 into it, then it will read only first 5 characters from the file. Let's take a look at the content of this file. So it has read this content. Now this file handle is actually a kind of file pointer. It will keep track of how many lines it has read from the file. Again, if I call f.read and read only first 5 characters, then it will read the next 5 characters. So it has read this content. So it keeps track of the file pointer, and as we read more content from the file, it will update that file pointer position in memory. If I want to start reading from specific character, let's say if I want to read this part again, then I can reset this file pointer to this specific number. To reset my file pointer, I can use the method seek. So if I write f.seek, it will reset my file pointer to this specific position. So next time when I call f.read, it will start reading from here. Let's test it out. f.seek5. It returns the position where we have reset the file pointer. Now if I call f.read, read 10 characters, then it will read the next 10 characters. If I call f.read, then it will read the complete content of the file. If the file fits into the buffer memory, then it will read the complete file. Otherwise, it will read only the content which is stored in the buffer memory. Now let's close this file. We can also read the complete content of the file by using writelines method. Let's try opening the file again. Open data test.txt file. Now if I call print f.readlines method, this readlines method reads the complete content of the file. Let's close the file at the end. You can see that it returns both the lines in the form of a list. If I want to read the content line by line, then I can simply iterate over this list. So I can write something like for line in f.readlines print line, and it will simply print both the lines from the file. Now let's look at how we can write a file. So first I'm going to close this file, and I'm also going to delete that specific file. So here I'm deleting this test.txt file. So I no longer have test.txt file inside my data directory. Now I'm going to write a code that will create that file. For writing a file, we can use the same open function, but this time we have to open the file in write mode. The open function also takes a second argument, which is used to specify the file mode. There are three main modes: one for reading, which is specified by using character R, one for writing, which is specified using character W, and one for appending data. By default, open function opens in a read mode, and that's why we did not need to specify R explicitly. So here I'm going to open the file using the same open function, and I'm going to open data test.txt file. This is the same file that we have already deleted from our directory, and I'm also going to specify the mode for this file. So here I'm specifying W, which means I'm opening this file for writing some data into it. Just to remove this resource, I'm going to close this file at the end. In between, I can work with this file. Now to write data into this file, I can use the write method, f.write, and I can write any textual content into it. So if I write hi, now if I execute this cell, it will create that test.txt file, and if I open this file, now it has the content that I mentioned in the write method call. If I try to write any other content, let's say hello, and I'm also going to append new line string at the end. If I rerun this cell, then it simply overwrites that file. I'll have to first close this file, and if I try to reopen that file, you can see that the content that was already there, the content hi, has been overwritten by this string hello. This is what happens when we write a file. When we open a file in write mode, it will create the file if the file doesn't exist, but if the file was existing and if we write any content into it, it will simply overwrite the existing content. In order to append some content, we have to open the file in append mode. So if I modify this file mode to, let's say, append using character A, and let's change this text that I want to write. I'm going to write, "How are you?" If I execute this cell, now it should have appended this string at the end of the original file. Initially my file had hello content. Now if I open, it has the previous content plus the new content. So that's how you can append data into a file. Now writing data using this kind of string content is very difficult. If we have some data in a list, then we can write all the data using writelines method. Let me show you. If I create lines list, it contains very simple text. This is sample text with a new line, and it also has another element. This is another sample with new line. Now if I want to write both these lines, then I can again open the file data test.txt in append mode, and I can write the content from this lines list using f.writelines method. And this method takes a list that we want to write into this file. I'm passing lines list. At the end, let's be a nice programmer and close this file resource. Let's execute this cell. Now if I reopen this file, it should have the new content. It has these two new lines added at the end. So that's how you can write multiple lines in a single method call. File handling is so common in Python that Python also provides a simple syntax for working with files. We can use the with block to work with files. When we use this with block, we can write with open data test.txt as some kind of file handle f, and this creates a block. Inside this block we have access to this file handle using this variable. So here I can write for line in f.readlines print line, and it will simply print the content of this file. You can see that we did not need to close the file explicitly like we had to do when we opened the file using simple open method call. The advantage of this with block is that when the block ends, it will automatically clean up the resources for this file handle. It will automatically close the file using f.close. My recommendation is to always use this with block when you are working with files. This is nice and clean syntax for working with files. Python also provides many modules for working with different files. It provides a CSV module for working with CSV files, and it also provides a JSON module for working with JSON files. We will also explore both these modules down the line in this video series. So in this video, we looked at how we can work with files using open function. When working with files, first you have to open the file, then you can work with that file, and finally you can close the file using close method. If you are using with block, then you don't need to close the file explicitly, and that's why this is the recommended approach.